Today is June 8th, 2011. I want to thank you all who watched my first video. I appreciate your feedback and you taking the time to watch the first video. That was on Osama bin Laden. Shot that about 4 weeks ago. But tonight I'm coming with a totally different subject. Many of you know that Bishop Eddie Long has been the topic of much much debate and the focus of many news stories over the past 8 months involving his alleged sexual coercion of four young males at his church. I want to get right to it tonight. Uh, I want to start off first with talking about the qualifications for a bishop. The Apostle Paul explicitly laid out in the book of Timothy, chapter 3, verses 1 through 8, and I want to read that right now. Okay. It says this. This is a faithful saying. If a man desires the position of bishop, he desires a good work. The bishop then must be blameless, the husband of one wife, temperate, sober minded, of good behavior, hospitable, able to teach, not given to wine, not violent, not greedy for money, but gentle, not quarrelsome, not covetous, one who rules his own house well, having his children in submission with all reverence. For if a man does not know how to rule his own house, how will he take care of the church of God? Not a novice, lest being puffed up with pride he fall into the condemnation as the devil. Moreover, he must have a good testimony among those who are outside, lest he fall into reproach and the snare of the devil. Uh, Explicitly, that's what the Apostle Paul lays out for the qualifications of a bishop. A bishop must uphold a higher standard of living, especially around those that the Lord has placed him in charge of. And, I live here in the Metro Atlanta area, and Bishop Eddie Long is a very popular preacher. He's been very popular for many years all over the world. He's well known. He has a very large following and a large congregation. But apparently, uh, he decided to settle his lawsuits, which is very disappointing to hear, especially since the bishop went in front of the world after the allegations broke last September, and more importantly, in front of his congregation, and said that he would fight the allegations tooth and nail, that he would go to court, that he would be proven uh, not guilty of the charges. That even though he said back then that he wasn't a perfect man, but he said those allegations he was going to fight, and it's disappointing to see that the bishop decided not to fight the charges and that he settled his lawsuit. And the report came out today that the settlement was for $25 million. That's right, $25 million. I have an article here that I got off of blackamericaweb.com. I'm going to read it here for you. It says, citing a source, the website readingnewsreview.com is reporting that New Birth Missionary Baptist Church pastor Eddie Long is paying nearly $25 million to settle claims he has sexual relationships with four young male parishioners and has also given a private apology to the accusers. The source, who's familiar with the details of the settlement and did not wish to be identified, said that Long absolutely refused to give a public apology, which ended up costing him more money in the settlement. What began as a $2 million agreement to settle the case for each of the four men quickly rose to $5.5 million for each plaintiff, the source said, because Long refused to publicly admit his guilt. The men are to divide $2.2 million equally and then receive $400,000 in payments until the money is paid out over the next 20 years. The final figure comes to $22 million for the four men and $2.8 million for the plaintiff's attorneys. The church has already been paying these four young men $40,000 annually before any of these charges were filed. Long did give a private apology, the source said, and as of press time, Long could not be reached for comment. If what I just read to you is true, Bishop Eddie Long has to stand down from his church. He has to step down. he can no longer be in a position of leadership and be taken seriously. He's in charge of thousands and thousands of souls under his care, and he's corrupted his position. He has to go. There is no reasonable explanation why he should remain a pastor, let alone a bishop. Um, it's a very sad set of circumstances, but him not fighting the charges, number one, is a huge red flag. If I gotta say it, if it was me, I would fight the allegations if I knew they were false. And to the whole world, I would display it all over the place and let the world know that, hey, I'm innocent of what these people have accused me of. But in this situation, the bishop didn't do that. And it's very disheartening to see that someone who's a huge representative of the Christian community and the body of Christ, especially, has fallen. But it's the arrogance, which is really disheartening to see that's from the bishop. The news here in Atlanta just ran a story that this past Sunday he asked congregants for between $500 and $1,000 apiece for a seed offering. Um, Apparently, he's expanding his church into Birmingham, Alabama, and out to Denver, Colorado. I guess he's building satellite churches, and it's when you think about it, okay, all this money that's coming into that church, you have a lot of people that work hard to try to make a living and try to tithe and give offerings, and $22 million of that money is not going to help the poor. It's not going to help those that are ill and hurting and down and out. It's going to four young men because of sexual misconduct by their pastor. Um, and it's funny. I was watching the news and listening to various radio reports also. And many of the parishioners at New Birth Church, they're sticking by their pastor no matter what. Um, they don't believe the allegations. But I'm sorry. If he's going to be so arrogant as to act as if uh, the whole thing that's going on right now isn't happening, is this somebody that you really want to be your pastor, to be your shepherd? Um, and I got to admit, he's done a lot of good work over the years in the city of Atlanta, the state of Georgia, and all over the nation. But he can't be pastor anymore. I'm sorry. It's he violated his duty. His credibility is no more. You cannot sit in a position such as a bishop and instruct others on how to live their life, and you're not following what you teach. You're not practicing what you preach. Better yet, um, that's being a hypocrite, and you're not really representing God the way He should be represented. Um, like I said earlier, the Apostle Paul clearly laid out the instructions of a bishop, and in several of the examples here that the Apostle Paul provided in 1 Timothy 3, the Bishop Eddie Long has failed, um, and he's failed miserably, especially with the settlement of this lawsuit. Um, but it's up for debate. Uh, the various opinions on this issue is sure to be a hot button topic all over the nation, and especially here in the Atlanta metro area. And I personally am going to continue to pray for all those involved and urge you to do the same. Uh, May God bless you all. You all have a great morning or evening or whenever you read this. I love you, and I'll see you next time on Facts News.